Hey everybody, it's Alexa Mason with Grace and Cherish, and today we are talking about design with hospitality in mind, and we're focusing on our kitchen. I'm going to start the story from the very beginning when we renovated this space to create a kitchen that works for our family of 6. And the focus of this, again, is on both the design choices we made and different ways you can think about your own kitchen, but more importantly, it's about hospitality and ways that you can take both the design aspects of what you're doing and hospitality and put them together to create a space that is beautiful and meaningful and about something that you really do care about, which is belonging and creating spaces that really cultivate a sense of relationship and love in them. So if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's get started. So we decided we were going to move the kitchen from one location into this other one, this longer room. It was a bit more narrow, but it would allow for more space as far as the cabinetry went, getting in an island, and all of those other things that I was hoping that we could have in our home. So first things first, you can tell we changed this wall. There was a wall right here. We opened this up to the living room and the homeschool room, and then we closed off the original entry, which is right here. So now when you walk into our house from the entry, which is where I just started, you will then see this right here, which is one of the first features I want to talk about. When you are designing a kitchen, cabinetry is one of the biggest things you're going to think about, right? And so we're going to talk about those and some questions to think about and consider if you are doing your own kitchen design. But first, I want to tell you what I was really excited about in regards to our kitchen cabinets, and that was doing a mix in this spot in particular of closed cabinetry, like you see here, and then open cabinetry. Not open shelving, because that's a little bit different, and I did not want to do open shelving, but I did want to have some cabinetry that you could see into. So having some you couldn't and some you could, in order to create a sense of balance. I realized that if I went with closed cabinetry all the way across the kitchen, something about it felt off. It didn't feel as open to me, as airy to me. So airy is not the right word. It wasn't airy, but it just didn't feel as open to me. I didn't like that. So I said, you know what, to create some some contrast here and a little bit more balance, let's do glass cabinet fronts instead. And one of the reasons that makes me really excited about that is not only the design side of it, where I think it just is better design for this space, I also am excited because one of the things that I love doing is figuring out ways to help people feel a connection to this house when they get in. I want to create, space plans that are easy for people to navigate so they move easily from room to room so that they aren't overthinking it and I know where to go, I know what to do, creates a sense of connection. Having hooks where they know to put their jackets right away so they can just put it down, feel a sense of moving around, like connection. To me, I love to look at whatever details I can to kind of help someone walk in here and have a sense of, I know what to do, I belong here. And for me, it's something that I notice in a lot of places that you walk in and you kind of have this thought of like, do I belong here? Even if it's subconscious and you're not really, like if it's a new place for you, I think that most of us, when we walk in a new place, there is this moment of like, okay, let me figure this out. And what I want to do in my space is when someone walks in, it's easy for them to figure out what to do. Come on in. So how this plays into it is that I loved that you could see the cups. You got our cups in here, you've got our plates in here, and what most people do when someone new comes into their space is they say, do you want something to drink? Would you like something to eat? And so while I'm very happy if someone new is coming to my house to grab them their own cup and give it to them, what I love is being able to make it clear that that's where this is. So maybe the first time I'm the one getting it for you, but maybe the second time you're like, oh yeah, I know where it is, and I grab it. And that could sound very idealistic, but I've watched it happen with adults and kids. And it is especially beautiful to me with the kids. Because when kids feel a sense of comfort, knowing that they belong and that they're welcome in my house, that yes, climb up here like my kids do, get on top of the counter and open this hook, that's fine with me. That brings me a great sense of joy because again, our homes are meant to be shared. So whether it's my own children, whether it's their friends or strangers who become friends, I love that, seeing people feel like, oh, I can grab that. And it's just a cup of water, but also it's something more to me. It's something more when someone is like, I feel comfortable enough to get this out of your home and I know that you're okay with it. So small thing, but to me it was also a big thing. And again, trying to establish that sense of welcome and belonging. I want you here, sit and stay a while. I first started by getting my designs for my head onto paper. Then I worked with a cabinet maker and he put together this digital design, and you can see the hutch wall in the middle. And it's amazing to me how what started as an idea in my head turned into this. When you're considering kitchen cabinetry and what you want in your home, you want to think about the profile of the cabinets. Now, I really like an understated beauty. I like simplicity that's beautiful to look at, but it's not necessarily like glam. I'm all for the people who love themselves some glam. I think that's great. I just tend toward more of an understated beauty is how I describe it. Because we live on our acreage, we live in a cottage, there's just the feel of it felt like this was what was more so called for compared to our mid-century home that we lived in when we lived in Portland. That also, you could do shaker, but that had a different feel to it. Still nature, because mid-century modern is very much so into that bringing the outdoors in, but those two different styles of home seemed to me to call for different things when it came to the cabinetry. This house, I really wanted to have something like this. And actually this is what inspired our homeschool room / study, the cabinetry that my husband built in that space, our built-in large cabinets there. That was also inspired by this. I wanted to be able to have that continuity and repetition. Now, cabinetry hardware is one of those things, it is just fun to pick because there are so many options out there, so many different ways that you can go depending on your home style, your style. There's not a set rule on what you can and cannot use, and I think that was one of the fun things about it. I knew that I wanted to go with something that could patina over time. So this is actually a polished bronze. The company that I the company I ordered from is called Yesterhome, and they make beautiful, beautiful cabinetry hardware. I think their other products are wonderful as well. I have some other things from them, but I was so grateful for just their care and their work and the cabinetry hardware that they make. Now, one of the things that I really wanted to do, even though technically from a functional standpoint, like you don't need to do it this way, but I thought it was so cute, it was the latch. And I just appreciate the extra character and charm that it brings. One thing to consider when you're doing knobs is also about your placement. Again, there are many options and ways that you can place knobs on your cabinetry. For these wall cabinets, I went with what is considered more traditional. It's centered in the corner of the outside frame. When you're doing cabinetry that's on the floor, not the wall, you would do something similar, but you're centering it in the upper corner of the outside frame. And of course we have our cupboard poles right here that I love because I love the design of them, but also I think of the little hands, my little kids and their little hands that open these up. It's just, I don't know, something sweet about it to me. One of the things that I also was really excited to do was when creating this space, it kind of made me think of a hutch in some ways. You know, that freestanding piece of furniture that, you know, are oftentimes, I mean, I grew up with one, my mom loved her hutch. And I really liked having this open area right here, and it was a great opportunity to place some art. We keep our security system actually is right there. You know, and I have some other little decorative things. We use this when we're hosting people, especially. I mean, food will go on here, other things, our junk mail. But it was also a great spot to be able to put a little bit of a lamp. And of course, this piece of art. This is a piece by Henry Ossawa Tanner. He's an artist that my kids and I actually studied in our homeschool. And so when I saw this piece, it was several years ago at Target. I saw it and I was like, you gotta be kidding me, I gotta get it. So we got it, and it has been sitting here since. The frame actually kind of goes with the knob, so that worked out, a happy accident. But I really appreciated just having his work and something that my kids have, you know, connected with, and now they get to see it all the time, and people who come in, they get to see it. And so it's been really beautiful. And if you don't know who Henry Ossawa Tanner is, you should check him out. He's a really great artist. All right, let's talk kitchen islands. They are very common, and honestly, they're very useful and effective. I love having a kitchen island here. I space things out so that, of course, you know, you have proper dimensions within the room. This is about, I wanna say it's 7 or 8 feet long. And then we're about 40-ish inches wide. I feel like I should measure that. Okay. Yes, 40 inches wide. So the island is a wonder. I mean, this island does a lot of work for us. It's got the sink, it's got the 4 chairs. My kids eat here all the time. Friends that come over sit here all the time. It's, you know, it's a workhorse. So one of the things that, again, I said I don't like is having the kitchen sink in the middle of it, just because it gets wet. You know, it can be cumbersome. But I don't want to complain, because the reason why we ended up doing this is, one, because we don't have any windows, and it didn't, when it came to placement, you know, you want to have a sink and then the window. Well, if I had put it on our wall, I would just be looking at a wall, and I didn't want to do that. But the other thing about where the sink is it actually provides an incredible view into our living room and homeschool room, into our dining room, and I can see the screen porch. And then of course the tea room is right there. I can look down the hallway in our mudroom. It is an awesome location to just be able to see all around. And so for that, I'm really grateful that we did it. And again, I think it made the most design sense. Another important factor of any kitchen are the countertops. We actually went with a granite countertop, and it was all spurred by our wood stove, which when I first moved into this house, I must confess that I saw it and I wanted to get rid of it. It was a different color at that point, and I know it's silly. I shouldn't have judged it that quickly. Thankfully, we didn't get rid of it, because what I also noticed was this that was on the wood stove, and I decided, hey, we should match all of the countertops to this. And so that's actually what the inspiration was for everything, all the other countertops we have. And now welcome to one of my favorite rooms in the house. The things that I have loved most is the way that people use it. So I talk a lot about design with hospitality in mind. And so this was one of those spaces that I also was like, how can we create something that serves our family and serves those who come into our home? And I've seen it happen where, you know, my vision was a little place that was a part of things, because we're right here in the kitchen, but also something that was kind of tucked away, where people might see you and think, oh, they're a part of this, but they're actually kind of just chilling on their own, being quiet for a minute. I tend to be more extroverted. I've definitely found a lot more, you know, restoration and rejuvenation through being on my own a lot as I've gotten older. But in general, I would say I'm still pretty extroverted, and I do get a lot of energy from being with people. But obviously most people aren't like that, or not most, but a lot of people aren't like that, and including my husband. He loves people and he also needs to rest from them. And I'm sure you probably relate to that too. And so I wanted to have a space in our home that if we were having an event or some type of party, that someone felt like they could kind of come and be a part of things, but be on their own, maybe get a little bit of quiet. So I love that we have our tea here. People can grab what they need if they want. They can sit in these chairs and be present, but kind of have a moment to just be. And so it's cool because we've had parties where I've seen people do it and they've said that it has been helpful to them. And so that to me was like really encouraging, because I wanted that. I wanted to be a place, yeah, that could just meet the needs of all the different types of people who are coming in. And even if you are extroverted, but you're like, hey, I just need some time alone. You know, I just wanted to provide that space. So it's been encouraging to me to be able to have that here. So we went ahead and we have these two chairs that are in here with this table. I try to always have flowers. We do a cut flower garden throughout the summer and into the fall, like spring through the fall. Typically we have cut flowers here all the time. These ones are not flowers I grew in my garden. They're from a friend, but I really love just constantly refreshing and having flowers here. This picture in the back is actually of Black women who were flower farmers in the 1800s, which was something that I didn't even know was a thing. Like I had no idea when I was starting my own flower, you know, growing journey. I didn't grow up growing flowers. I didn't grow up gardening at all. So this has been a whole new world to me as I've gone from no garden to a 50 by 60 foot plot and learning. I mean, I'm learning a lot, and I have found so much joy in the beautiful flowers that come from it. And so a friend of mine for birthday got me this print, and it was just such an encouragement to me of like, this is a part of your history. Your people did this, and you're joining in that with them. And it was just really encouraging. So I love having this little thing, that little print here. I thought this was a perfect spot for it. So this has definitely been a sweet place to just come and be, read. I use it in our homeschooling. This is often where we do All About Reading, if you know what that is. But we do that with my kids, and so this is the room that we do that in. I try to utilize our whole house when it comes to homeschooling in particular, like really making each room work a lot. Again, I like to make sure the rooms are working. I want it to be something where it's not just, you never go in that room. It's like, no, we definitely go in that room for a variety of different reasons, because I think it's important to use the spaces that you actually have. So this has been sweet to be a place of respite, a place to, you know, have tea and just sit in the quiet to read, and also doing our reading and learning. So it's been really special to me. The last thing in this room that I want to talk about Well, okay, last two things. One is this burdock that I took from our yard. It is absolutely stunning. I've loved having this and just having it on in the wall basket here as extra decoration. But then also this piece right here, which has been really wonderful to have. I love it. It was created by people who live in India, and I've shared in another video that I did about our living room how we like to have different items that represent different cultures. Well, cultures and people groups. And so that is what this piece is in here for. We had this big wall space. I knew I wanted to fill it, and when I was looking for different items to do it, I saw this one and just, I love the texture. There's a little bit of pattern in here, subtle, again, understated beauty for me. And so I just really, really love getting to have this. And of course, also be reminded of our brothers and sisters in India. We are huge tea drinkers around here. So when you come over, I promise you, you are gonna get yourself some tea. We love our loose leaf tea. We have really loved trying different ones. We actually wanted to have our own tea farm on the property. TBD on if that actually happens. But this tea right here, I'm just gonna give it a shout out. I've never talked to anyone who actually works there, but it is delicious, very woodsy. It has a really great history, so you should look it up. It's really cool. So anyway, we love drinking our tea. Love the sense that tea for us it's an invitation to stay a while. And so that's something, you know, not only is it soothing, it can be calming when you mix different blends that can actually really help your body. There's so many wonderful things about tea, but I love that typically when someone's sitting for some tea, that means they're staying a minute. They're gonna be with you, and it just, again, encourages conversation and connection. And so we really love having a whole room that is dedicated to that. All right, taking a seat at the island. These chairs I actually got off of eBay. They were from Target, but on eBay, so I got them for half the price. It was, again, a few years ago, and they've held up really well. So we have 4 of them at this island. Now, one of the things when it came to choosing, you know, the island countertop, I knew we wanted granite. I like this material, it's worked well for us. But then I also was considering how we were going to handle the corners. You know, you could do a variety of different ways that you can choose, whether beveled, you know, we went with rounded. And what was important to me was that the corners were rounded because, again, I've mentioned I have little kids. I have 4 kiddos, 2.5 to age 10, and I know that they love to run. And we actually created a circle essentially for kids to be able to run around in our house, and just the way that it's laid out. And you know, whether it's just my kids or when they have friends over, they will just run laps. And honestly, I like that. So when it came to how we decided the width of our walkways, which I'll get to, and how we decided the ways that we were gonna round our countertop on our island, I was thinking about that because I don't want my kids to run into this countertop because it would really hurt. And my 2.5-year-old is at that place where she's only, you know, 3 feet tall. She's like the perfect height to hit her head on this if she's running. So that is something we look out for. But I knew that at least having something rounded was gonna be better than it being sharpened. So sharp and just straight corners. So that was one of the things that we tried to make sure to be intentional about here. But let's talk walkways. All right, let's talk walkways. Typically, you wanna have about 3 feet. I wanted to get as much room as I could because, again, I was serious about my kids running around in circles, but then also just the ability for people to move past, because we have these stools right here. And so you have the sliding out, sliding back in. You want to consider that when you're thinking of a walkway. If people are actually sitting in here, naturally the stools are already going to be pushed out a bit so that they can fit their bodies in it. So I was keeping all of that in mind when I considered how wide these walkways needed to be in order for there to be an easy flow, you know. So those are things that, again, when you're designing out your space, questions to consider is, you know, where are the walkways and how much space do you have in them? I wanted to get about 4 feet between the edge of the counter and the wall over here. That was important to me because the other thing I had to consider, let me turn around, is being able to take out the drawers. So those are all things that you want to keep in mind. And the same goes for the other side of the island where I have our stove and our dishwasher and our refrigerator. Again, all of those things, you want to think, how much space do you have? Is there enough clearance for you to be able to pull things down and not be hitting, you know, the island across from you? What about if you're washing dishes and someone's trying to use a stove? You know, there's just some realities. You're gonna bump into each other a little bit, or you'll have to pause and let someone open the oven while you're doing the dishes, then you move, whatever. Those are just things. The main thing is making sure there's clearance to open and close things, because man, is that a mistake you don't want to have to deal with. For nearly 3 years, we did not actually have this oven hood. We bought it before our kitchen was even installed, the insert, but we didn't have a hood. Brandon was gonna build it, and it just, anyway, you know, we ended up having a baby, some job changes, lots of other things happened. So we recently got this up within the last 6 months or so, and I was so impressed with his ability to figure out the paint and everything to match it, because if you've ever looked at, you know, kitchen cabinetry when it's professionally painted like ours was, it's not your typical sprayer. It's a little bit harder to emulate. So he did a really great job. I'm really grateful for it, and it definitely helps complete the whole space. Let's talk about these lights. These are Schoolhouse lights. Schoolhouse is a store that's based in Portland, Oregon. I used to live there. Me and my family did for 6 years. We loved the people that we lived there with so much. And so I love having these. One, because the style and the shape, the way that the black kind of ties in with the countertops, you know, I wanted that, but not too much. So I just love all of that about it. And then of course, I love the connection to Portland and the reminder of the people that we love and who just have taught us so much in our lives and our time with them. So lighting is something, you know, with an island, typically you have island, you know, lights over it, and getting those proportions right, depending on what you, on kind of what your style is. But scale wise, I knew I didn't want them too large. I wanted them to fit well to actually give some good light, but not be too massive and kind of take over all of the visual in your space. I wanted you to see them, notice them, like them, but then kind of let it fade away. Again, understated beauty. So some of the other lights that we used that actually I got from, I don't remember the name of it, but it was a place in Chicago. There are some lights we have in our hallway into our mudroom, and then also right in front of the door that goes out to our screen porch. I like them because, again, they're black, that ties in with the countertop and the wood stove, but it also has a little bit different shape. That to me is really interesting. You have these lights, do not have the exposed bulb, have a little different shape, but again, the tie-in with the black that I already mentioned. Then we have one counter lamp over here. Got this one over here that I really like. And then let's move over to the other side of the kitchen. And we got this little guy right here. And then we also have lights in the ceiling here. All right, we have basically gone through everything in the kitchen. We have our cutting board wall, I think behind here, that I didn't mention. The pantry that is back there, which I'll do in another video when I talk about the renovations we did in that area. But I think it's important when we consider kitchens that we think through what it is that we want for it, not only functionally, but at the heart of hospitality and the ways that we hope people are welcomed. I have shared before how we wrote prayers on the studs of different parts of the house, which I know isn't necessarily new. I've seen other people do that as well. But what I love about it is the intentionality that it requires. When we're like, Lord, this is what we pray for. And then what's even more beautiful is when we actually see it come to fruition. I have had people singing worship songs while holding a baby as we're celebrating a friend's birthday party that she hosted. You know, she wanted us to host it at her house. And I remember it was like 11:30 at night, and there were women who were just singing. And I have a video of it, but I didn't ask them about putting it on here, so I won't. But they were just holding another friend's baby, these 5 women just singing worship songs to the Lord and blessing our friend whose birthday it was and just joking around and having a good time. And I thought, Lord, I couldn't have imagined this moment, but thank you that this gets to be a place where it happens. Women singing at 11:30 while my 2.5-year-old is asleep in her room right upstairs, who miraculously didn't wake up, singing worship songs to you, laughing and joking and just having a good time. And actually, most of those women I didn't even know until that night, because it was a mutual friend, but we hadn't met. And it was just, I'm like, Lord, this is what can happen. But we've also had women come and eat with us to celebrate Christmas and the birth of Christ, who were women that were part of a anti-sex trafficking organization, and they were in this program, and we got to be one family that got to serve and love them by welcoming into our homes. And I thought, here in this place. And so I want to share this video, and I'm showing this tour, and I want you to think about the design part is so much fun, and I love talking about it and answering questions about it and encouraging you to think about it. But most importantly, regardless of what your kitchen looks like, regardless of any of that, you can have those moments too. Those moments where belonging is created, where people are welcomed and they know love. Because at the end of the day, that's what we want. When people talk about the kitchen being the heart of the home, which in my house, it quite literally is, that's good. But the heart we're really talking about is like that love, people knowing love. Design is awesome, and it can help get you to that place. It can be a tool that's used to encourage hospitality and connection and belonging, but ultimately it starts with you. So I hope that you are encouraged to go and to open up your home, whatever it looks like, and welcome someone in. And I'm excited to see what happens and what God does with that. And if you do have some fun stories about belonging that was created in your spaces, whether your kitchen, living room, whatever, I hope you share it in the comments. I hope you send me a message. I should put my email in here, because I genuinely am encouraged, and that's what I'm hoping for, is that we be a people of hospitality. So bless you. Know that you matter. You are a person who is of great, great value and worth. And I'm so glad that you took the time to hang out with me here. So bless you, my friend. Until next time, onward and hope.